What up? What up? All right, so we got a patch today for Last Epoch, and I'm gonna go over some of the features or some of the new things that they added in here. Start with gameplay. And this was one that I did notice. They fixed a bug where the temporal shift could sometimes cast a second time after being used once, resulting in getting sent back to the area you were originally in. So uh, if you know what that is, basically you could do that like in a dungeon, and you'll be floating in the air, like you would be stuck like way up in the air. Like it was weird. It would look like you were on the ground, but if you zoomed in on your character, you would be up there. So, seen that. Fixed a recent bug where target abilities such as lunge or smite could fail to cast if they were the first ability you used in a scene. I've noticed this with black hole as well. Like sometimes I'll sit there and just keep tapping, 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 and it will not allow me to use it. So I don't know if that was one of them. It doesn't list it, but I did notice that in some of my playing. Fixed a bug where it's possible to target enemies that had yet to emerge with lunge. Doing so would result in being unable to move after using lunge. Fixed a recent bug where offline characters would have zero potions when loaded rather than their maximum amount. Fixed a bug where some breakable objects in various scenes continued to obstruct movement after they were destroyed in online play. This is one that I have noticed a ton with movement in the game and objects obstructing your movement. Not even with uh, objects that are destructible, but just like on the ground. Like it looks like you would be able. I actually have a clip of it on Twitch where it's like a stairwell, and you can only go up the middle of the stairwell, even though think of a triangle with the point at the top. So that's what the stairwell looks like, except for not pointy. Anyway, like a flat top triangle, I guess. I don't know if that would be a triangle, but you know what I mean. Anyway, and you can't go to the sides of the stairs. You'd have to go like directly in the middle. I don't know. So hopefully it's something. I did submit it. Hopefully they fixed that. Fixed a bug where enemies could be pushed around and online by walking into them. Fixed global conditional damage properties not working except for unlimited damage per stack of element effects. These effects are fixed. More spell damage to ignited enemies on soul fire, more throwing damage to bosses and rare enemies on bows, anarchy, more fire hit damage to ignite enemies, more void damage to stunned enemies on the shift and power node, on the volatile reversal tree, more melee damage per bleed, and then more damage per poison. You can no longer type in chat windows when you have chat disabled. That's cool, but when I have chat disabled, I don't want to see chat. I'm just saying, like, disable the chat means I don't ever want to see it. Like, even when it's disabled, I'm still seeing people talking, like it's, taking up real estate on my screen. And, if I'm streaming, say, just on Twitch and someone says something in the chat, I don't know if there's filters for everything, but if someone says something, then, like Twitch, the way Twitch works, they'll ban me. Like, and I don't even have any control over, someone saying something, or I might not even be paying attention to it. Someone could say something disrespectful or rude. So if I have it disabled, and I normally do just for that reason, I would always want it to be just never show up. Skills and passive base skeletal mages now use new ability called Dreadbolt rather than a version of Hunger and Souls. Normalize the damage and cast speed of skeletal mage. Dreadbolt 30 base damage and 150% damage effectiveness. 50% chance to apply damned on hit. No longer applies possessed. Cryomancer's Ice Shard, 30 base damage. Pyromancer's Fireball, 34 base damage and 170% damage effectiveness. Previously 25, 125. The Cryomancer's Ice Shard was 30 base, 150% damage effectiveness, and it was previously 12 and 100 with 90% more damage. So they're getting buffs right here. All three now have the same cast speed, slightly slower than Pyromancer's Fireball used to be. This should result in close to same DPS for Fireball and Ice Shard, and much higher DPS for Dreadbolt. Increase the projectile speed of all skeletal archer projectiles. Fixed a bug where rampages, intimidate, and cry did not require roar to be on your action bar in order for it to trigger roar. That seems like a a bug that need to be fixed a bug where Void Knight's Void Well passive has no cooldown. Okay, that sounds like something good or bad, depending how you look at it. Fixed a bug where sacrifices additional chains from Catalyst of Horror and um, Sanguinine. I don't know how you say that. Liberation. I know what it is, just don't know how to pronounce it. Were not additive with each other, resulting in two fewer chains than intended, while any points were invested. Um, and that particular ability fixed a bug where sacrifice consistently chained to one fewer minion than intended. This is in addition to the other fixed. Fixed bow puncture, snap into targets more intensely than other bow skills. Fixed a bug where arcane momentum stacks displayed were incorrect. This is only a display change. Items fixed a bug where Fragment of Enigma gave 2 lightning damage for spark charge per 10 max mana instead of the stated 2 lightning damage for a spark charge per intelligence. Visuals updated visual effects for mortar abilities, updated visual effects for fireballs cast by pyromancers. These are both skeletal mages. Seems like they've done a lot with the skeletal mages in this patch. Updated visual effects for Skeleton Archer, fixed various visual bugs with Poison Cone attack used by Scalebane casters, updated the indicator visual on the ground for Soulspire attacks, fixed broken particle effect visuals with Soulfire Bastion, fixed a bug which caused part of the visual effects of some skills, notably lunge, to play at an incorrect place, usually off screen. Fixed visual effects applying to item models on the ground. Speaking of off screen, I I have one gripe, and I don't know if this is in here, but boss fights in the arenas, the small areas. Every boss fight in this game is off screen, and your projectiles thrown at you from random spots, and the bosses will disappear. This is one of my major annoyances. I got this is one of my favorite games, so don't take this the wrong way, but this is one of my major annoyances with boss fights in this game. Almost every boss is off the screen. Like I feel like they need to make the field of view much larger in those fights because I would always like to be able to see everything, even if it means I have to have like a smaller character on screen and like a much higher overview or field of view of the actual dungeon when I'm fighting. But anyway, I just when it said fixed a bug caused by the visual effect being off screen, I mean every single boss is off screen. Like go play PoE or Diablo, just a couple games as an example, and you almost never have enemies off the screen in fights. I mean, every now and then, yeah, there's going to be something. And when I say off the screen, I mean like you don't know where they are because they've disappeared and they've went to another part of the arena, and you're having to look for them. And sometimes you may know where they are, but they're still always off screen, and then that includes all the other stuff. Anyway, whatever. I digress. Enemies high speed and crit chance until approach monster mod changes. Fixed a bug where the mod's visual effects were invisible online. The mod's effects and visual effects now start when the monster is engaged rather than when it spawns. Cool. Fixed a bug where the shade of Orbis's blood orbs did not visually seek out targets in online play. Fixed a bug where less damage taken from distant enemies, monster mods, visual effects were invisible online. Fixed void, imagination, melee attack. I don't know how you say that. Appearing further away from itself than intended. Improved the visuals, avoid amalgamation, melee attack. Fixed a bug where void wings could be invisible in online mode. I think every enemy's almost invisible. Fixed for Morris weapon appearing solid white. Fixed the Void Fiend not having an outline of and being visible before emerging. Reduce the chance for large splatter visual effects when hitting rapidly, but made that decreased chance fall off sooner than previously. This will result in fewer large splatters when hitting rapidly, but more large ones when having multiple seconds between hits. I'm not sure what that is right there because I don't know. Maybe optimization. Okay, here we go. Fixed a bug where arcane ascendants with a culty node could cause severe latency problems while on your skill bar. Okay, that's definitely something huge. I don't know because I only have 3 characters in the game in the 100 hours I've played, and it doesn't apply to me. Greatly improve the performance of these minion projectile abilities. Skeletal mages now use Dreadbolt. I think we already talked about this, but Cryomancer, Pyromancer, all skeleton archer attacks, fireballs, ice shards, Thorn Totem Thorns. This is one that I haven't used yet, but it's optimized. Fixed a bug where when hit, visual effects were playing more frequently than intended, causing some performance issues. Improved the performance of Spire abilities. Reduced how much RAM game servers use. Wow, this right here might be huge because I get a lot of disconnects from game servers. So I don't know if that, I don't think it's on my end, but anyway, I don't know. I've put in a couple of requests and they have, let's go ahead and rate that up. Actually responded and been working with me trying to fix that. There's like a mega thread on their forum board about this as well. Again, thank you for being active and giving us bug reports and feedback while we're shifting more of our focus to new content for 0.9.1. We still plan to release more fixes before 0.9.1 releases. We'll prioritize widely reported and or critical bugs, and lower priority fixes and improvements might come with 9.1 or 0.9.1 instead. Some things we're currently working on. Dungeon boss doors not always working. I've noticed that. Monolith echoes occasionally breaking when playing as a forge guard. I have not noticed that. Using a skill you don't meet the weapon requirements for, locking you in an animation. I don't think that. Rubber banding, latency, and performance problems. Definitely noticed that. Monitoring for other ability use problems. I'm trying to think any ability like that I use or skill. I don't think I've noticed really too much with that, but the rubber banding I've definitely noticed a lot, and I haven't noticed performance issues per se, but I have had a ton of disconnects, and I've seen everybody say, "Oh, use a VPN, get a new router, um, DNS flush in the console." I'm trying to think of some of the other things. Peer to peer, like opening the port, like on my firewall. These are things that I've done. Like these are things that, other than changing my modem out because it's only like 2 months old, and I don't have any problems with any other game. But as far as performance and stuff like that goes, I don't know. I have been doing like the in my command prompt. I don't know. Is that what it's called on? I think it's command prompt. Yeah, command prompt on. I'm a Mac, long time Mac user, but I do have Windows PC for gaming. Anyway, I've done the IP config slash flash DNS or whatever, and that does seem to help a little bit when I have the disconnect from server because I don't lose internet connection. It just disconnects from the game server. But there is like a really long thread on that as far as performance and latency or whatever. I don't know what that would be. I don't think that would really be a latency issue, but maybe just a server issue. I don't know. It's definitely not on my end though, or maybe it is. But I've contacted Xfinity, and they said that they don't see anything. Like there's nothing blocking me from connecting to the servers. I've been back and forth in email with one of the devs. But anyway, that's the updates here for Last Epoch. I sadly don't really have much comment on any of these changes as far as like the stuff for where the skills and passives and gameplay because these are not things that I use. These are not part of my builds that I use. So with that said, let me know what you think. Um, Last Epoch is a lot of fun. I have a lot of hours in it. You can catch me on Twitch at Sci-Fi Brian, SciFibRian, Sci-Fi Bri, N. Anyway, I stream on there almost every day for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes I upload them to YouTube. But yeah, that's Last Epoch update. I'm out. Peace.